I hear there's a big wedding coming up over there. Is that true?
I've heard something about that. Yeah, it's all over the news now.
Honky's getting married again over there to a queen.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've been on a few honeymoons. I can tell you that. But yes, Percy, you mentioned our travels, and I find that the Canadian fans and the European fans and the Australians and Japanese and wherever we go overseas, they're so much not as critical as and I love our United States fans, but our U.S. fans tend to be a little bit more critical of our work product than the fans.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I find that too, and me and you being such old school as we are, I have a hard time sometimes when I have a fan to come, and I enjoy talking to fans, but they want to come up and talk about work rate and who should be booked with who, and just like an armchair booker, well, they should do it this way, they should do it that way, they should do it this way. Please, oh my God, I ain't taking up for nobody, but if you ain't walked in those shoes, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Exactly, and that makes me, you segued me to a good segment I want to get into with you, because I think the fans really need to know, and I mentioned this at Cauliflower Alley when they were going to induct me the other day for the award, that I had a career long before I was the Honky Tonk Man. You had a career long before you were Paul Bearer. So tell the fans about your career.
Yeah, 15. I was in the business 15 years before I became Paul Bearer. I'm from good old Mobile, Alabama, right here on the beautiful Gulf of Mexico, where you've worked many, 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 many times, and still do every once in a while come to the area. So I was raised back in the territory days, of Gulf Coast wrestling. And the Gulf Coast wrestling pretty much compromised the state of Alabama, like from Montgomery south, and then the panhandle of Florida, from like Hattiesburg, Mississippi south to the Gulf Coast. And we were own little company there, and I'm talking about, I graduated high school in 1972. I don't mind dating myself at all. I'm proud of how old I am. And so it was so much more different then. We didn't have cable TV. We didn't have, the internet, and I would run down to the newsstands once a month and get my magazines, to see what in the world was going on in the rest of the world. I was one of the fans that did know, that there was a Cow Palace in San Francisco, and Madison Square Gardens, and Chicago, and I kept up with all that. But the average fan didn't know. Your world was where you lived. They didn't realize there was wrestling, in other parts of the country. But I grew up on a very, very, very firm foundation of some fantastic talent that came out from the Gulf Coast. And as a matter of fact, I hate to be a name dropper or anything, but I'm sure a lot of folks are familiar with Michael Hayes, the Freebird Michael Hayes, who is the vice president of the creative team right now for WWE. I consider him to be one of my brothers. We were fans together. He lived in Pensacola, and I lived in Mobile. We grew up on the same wrestling, the same, Cowboy Bob Kelly and Ken Lucas and Dick Dunn, and I can go on and on and on with names, a lot of names that a lot of you fans probably don't even recognize. I know Honky knows who they are. But just tremendous, tremendous talents back in the day that I was privileged to sit under the learning tree, and I just soaked it up like a sponge. There was a gentleman by the name of Frankie Kane, the Great Mephisto. The Great Mephisto, what a mind he was in our industry. He wrestled for a few years under a hood as one of the Infernos, J.C. Dykes and the Infernos. Well, long story short, there was a little territory over in Mississippi. Frankie Kane was the booker then, and me and Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy and Kamala and Rip Rogers. We were all just young kids. Frankie Kane gave me the name of Percy Pringle in 1978, and me and Terry Gordy and Michael Hayes and Kamala, we all started together back in those days. So we were able to learn under some really, really fantastic minds and learn to respect this industry, and that's something that I've never lost today that I'm very proud of.
Yes, and that Frankie Kane booked me, and Terry Gordy was like 17 years old just before you guys came in there, and Jake Roberts' dad was there, Grizzly Smith.
Yep. He was. In fact, Grizz was still there. Was there when I came in. He was still there.
Yeah, and that was the first territory that I had ever worked before I went to Jerry Jarrett, and of course we're going to have Jerry on next week. Percy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think the world of Jerry. We stay in touch, via email now and then, and it was just. It's hard, and Wayne, you understand completely what I'm talking about. It's hard to explain some of these things, unless and a lot of fans say, oh, well, all the old timers say that. If you weren't there, if you didn't experience, if you didn't know what, kayfabe meant, if you didn't understand what traveling in separate cars were or dressing in separate dressing rooms and never talking to your opponent, and if you didn't, but it was such a different world, and I don't. You understand what I'm saying, and I'm having trouble putting it into words.
Totally different. The young fellows today and the young ladies out there, it's a totally different dream they're chasing, not the dream we chased. And I bought the magazine. I bought the magazines too because I wanted to go to all these places.
Me too. Exactly. And just on the side, I'm bad about going off on tangents when I do interviews like this, and I don't do a lot of interviews like this.
Don't worry, I do too.
and I appreciate, and I certainly appreciate you having me on. I just finished up a 6-month run up there with Vince, and it's just a totally different world that I started in on December the 22nd, 1990. And, and me and Taker had our first WrestleMania together, and that was WrestleMania 7. This one that I just finished up was WrestleMania 27, just to put things in perspective. And back before, a lot of people wondered why I disappeared there for a while, and let me just jump in here and say that I lost my wife to breast cancer 2 years ago. We were married 30 years. And if anybody knows, Wayne knows, how important a lady is, a special lady to have at home waiting for you when you're on the road and making these long trips, and stay home and take care of your kids and your home, and they're there when you get home. How important it is. And we were married 30 years in this business. There's not a lot of guys that can say and be proud of the fact that they've been married 30 years. There's a lot of guys that are proud that they've had 30 wives. But I've been married. We were married 30 years. But she was my rock, and she was always there for me from the very first time. I was climbing the ladder and till I made it to the top. But she had a real difficult time. Her and Jeff Jarrett's wife, Jill, and I know you know Jeff and Jill Jarrett well. And my wife and Jill Jarrett were diagnosed with breast cancer at about the same time, within about a month of each other. And what a horrible, horrible battle that they had. And my wife kicked it the first time, and then she got it back again and kicked it again, and then it came back and just totally, took her from me. So it was kind of a rough. Rough road to hoe there, but what my point is, and I want to take this opportunity because I know there's a lot of fans listening out there, and ladies too, and I like to do this when I do these interviews, when I know there's a lot of people out there listening. My God, go have your mammograms that you're supposed to have. Do what you're supposed to do. It's just so easy, and don't let this damn beast called cancer creep up on you and take the love of your life away from you. And if your old lady, if your wife, I say old lady, if your wife don't want to do it, if your girlfriend don't want to do it, put her ass in the car and take her to the damn doctor. Because I've been through a lot of my life, but my Lord, when God decided to call my wife home, bless her heart, I know she's an angel, she's not hurting anymore, But these last 2 years have been just really brutal. But I'm very, very blessed. I have 2 wonderful sons. They have 2 wonderful wives, and I have 2 beautiful granddaughters. And in about 19 days, I'm going to have granddaughter number 3. So I've been very, very blessed to have a wonderful career, to live my childhood dreams, and have a wonderful family. My parents, I just turned 57 about 2 weeks ago, and at 57, I still have both my parents, and I'm still playing wrestling when I want to, you know. But now I can kind of like you, I can pick and choose what I want to do and what I don't want to do. So I'll go out 2 or 3 times a month and have a good time. And you're like me, Wayne. If it's not fun, I don't care how much the money is. If it's not fun, I don't want to do it no more.
I always stay home.
Exactly. I'd rather stay home. I know you'd rather be on the golf course, and I'd rather be here around the house. But if I know it's not going to be fun, I don't want to be a part of it. At this stage of my life, it's all about having fun, enjoying the industry that we've dedicated our entire adult life to, and just continuing to see the world and see our fans and have fun. My God, that's what pisses me off about a lot of the fans, that they don't have fun. They work their ass off to make money and buy a ticket and go to wrestling, and they're going to sit on the front row and critique every spot, everything that goes on in that damn ring. My God, suspend your damn belief for a little while, buy you a box of popcorn, and sit there and enjoy some fine, fun entertainment. Jay, you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, that's the way I feel too, and you know, you're out here now, you're taking some independent bookings, and tell the fans how, and the promoters, there's a ton of independent promoters. The other night at Cauliflower Alley, part of my speech, I had the independent promoters stand up, because without those guys and that promote and run shows around North America, there'd be no place for guys like you and I. There'd be no place for young, upcoming talent to showcase themselves. And I told them, when I walk in the locker room now, it's like a fountain of youth for me. But tell the fans and the independent promoters how they can get in touch with Percy Pringle III and get him booked on some shows.
Well, I got a great, you know, of course I'm prejudiced, but my website isn't nearly as good as yours. You have a wonderful website that I've been following for a lot of years, but I do have a website with a lot of information and old photographs and old stories and things like that. And it's real simple to remember. It's percypringle.com. And I do my best to keep it up to date. I got a great webmaster, just like you do, that he's very talented, does a lot of artwork and things like that. And I'm on Twitter and all this fancy, you know, 2011 stuff. You know, I've become a part of, and I'm out there and I'm available. And all you got to do is go to my website. You'll see. There's an email address on there, and I'm real proud. Just like I know you answer a lot of read and answer your emails, and I'm proud that if you send me an email, I'm going to answer it. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to answer it. It might not be the answer that you want to hear, but I'm going to send you an answer. And I shoot from the hip just like you do, and tell it like it is. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, I'm sorry. It's just the way I feel.
Yep, and the fans can also follow Percy on twitter.com/WWE-Universe. That's URN. And you've got thousands and thousands of fans on there that absolutely love you.
Percy, do you want to take a phone call?
Hell yeah! I'm here for whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do, I'm ready.
Okay, we have 815-603. You're on the air with Percy Pringle and the Honky Tonk Man.